The 21st day and the 21st song of Thiruppavai. ஏற்றகலங்கள் எதிர்வங்கி மீதழிப்ப மாற்றாதேவால் சோரியும் வள்ளல் பேரும் பசுக்கள் ஆற்றப்படைத்தான் மகனே அறிவுராய் ஊற்றமுடையாய் பெரியாய் உலகினில் தோற்றமாய் நின்ற சுடரே துயிலழாய் மாற்றார் உனக்கு வரிதோலைந்துன் வாசற்கண் ஆற்றாது வந்து உன்னடி பணியுமா போலே போற்றியாம் வந்தோம் புகழ்ந்தேலோர் எம்பாவாய். And this is my translation. Son of Nandakapa, whose many munificent cows yield brimming pots full of frothy milk, wake up, the zealous in saving the devotees and the noble, the unmistakable light for the world, wake up, like your vanquished foes, sans their might, surrender at your feet, right at your doorsteps, we have reached your abode, hailing you by your fame. Songs 21 to 23 make up a cluster in which Napinnai joins the maids and invokes gods. Abundance of the abode of God, the zeal, nobility, and unmistakability of God, and the attitude of total surrender on the part of the maids are brought together in the densely packed song. In a way, the three songs can very well be said to sum up the Vaishnavite concept of divinity and the proper attitude of the devotee, as well as the ultimate goal of bhakti. The 21st song celebrates the first two of the three. The abundance of the household of Nandagopa is employed in a graphic evocation. Pots are already full with milk. There is yet more milk in the udders of the cows, so pots already used for holding milk are used again to displace the froth and accommodate more milk. Thus, the addition of milk and the spilling over of the froth have both been presented right at the beginning of the song. God was praised in the name of Nandagopan's son earlier in the 17th and 18th songs. Identifying Krishna in the name of Nandagopa has a specific intention. Descending into the clan of the herdsman on the farm of Krishna is the manifestation of an intention on God's part to redeem the maids. How could Krishna then indulge in sleep even as the maids have sought him for succor? Therefore, to repeatedly call him the son of Nandagopa is to bring out the intention behind the manifestations. The cows, by extension, become personifications of the spiritual teachers called the Gurus. They initiate the devotees into the path of God, and their abundant affection for the devotees is identified with milk. The picture given is as follows. Once the herdsman lays his fingers on the udders, the cows keep on pouring milk and do not stop when the pot is full. It is such abundant concern for the devotee that gets celebrated here. Traditional interpretation will cite an illustration from Vishnu Purana. Maitreya sought Parasara for instruction into the spiritual. Parasara poured forth much more than Maitreya had sought. It is such profuse pouring forth that makes the cows munificent. Vallal Perum Pasukal. Traditional interpretation will also expand on Arivurai, which has been inadequately translated into wake up at the second line. The word, rightly translated, will read become aware, in which case it can be taken for imploring God's grace. Though there is no urgent business to Krishna as the son of Nandagopa to attend to, so early in the morning the intention of the manifestation is to grace the Pavai observance with his august presence and redeem the maids. So, though the son of such a rich person like Nandagopa, Krishna, as the manifestation of Narayana, has to attend to the urgent business of clinching the Pavai observance with assured redemption to the maids. The next attribute to Krishna is being the zealous. It's the translation of the word Ukkamudayai. The word can be read in two ways. In the first reading, it may mean that God in His manifest form is the meaning of Vedas. Without God, the Vedas become hollow. It's God who makes the Vedas meaningful. The second reading refers back to the 20th song, in which God is said to dispel the distress of the Devas. Saulapya, the condescending grace of God, is one of the basic attributes of God in the Vaishnava concept. So the word Ukkamudayai is better understood as referring to God's earnestness as expressed in condescending grace. Manifestations of God acquire their significance only in the context of this attribute to God. In the Gita also, Krishna comes out with the explicit assurance that whenever injustice prevails, he will appear to establish justice. The noble, in the translation, again, is an inadequate version of Periyai in the original. It shall be read to mean as follows: the greatness and nobility of God are so great that even all the extant Vedas and those to come hereafter cannot adequately comprehend His greatness. He has a greatness that transcends the greatness as experienced and explained in the Vedas. The first line in Nammalvar's Thiruppavai has expressed the idea succinctly. Uyarvara uyarnalam udayavan. The greatness of God is so great that even the greatest greatness understood is lesser by far. The point of interest is that God of such transcendent nobility has chosen to condescend in all His grace into the most easily accessible form to the maids. And yet, the greatness is in no way to be missed. Therefore, immediately follows the next address, Thotramai Ninra Sudare, the light that stood out unmistakably. It's this concept of God who is at once far and near to the devotee that makes the concept of God in Vaishnavism so endearing. There is a Christian parallel too. Hopkins wrote a sonnet titled God's Grandeur. He begins the poem ascertaining that the world is charged with the grandeur of God. He says that such grandeur will shine forth like shining from shook foil. Reflected light from a silver paper will strike even the closed eye with its brightness. So also, even the most insensitive to God's presence in the world cannot escape the awareness of God in the world. The concluding part of the song is also highly suggestive. Even the most egoistic had to finally surrender to God. Such is the greatness of God's valor. And once the fiercest foe surrenders, God extends His grace so very spontaneously. There is a story of the crow that offended Sita in the Ramayana. Rama sent his arrow that followed the crow wherever it flew. Finally, with nowhere to go, the crow fell at Rama's feet. Rama ordered the arrow to take away one eye of the crow and leave it alive. There is also another interesting story, again in the Ramayana, about God's abundant grace. When Rama had to leave his bow and arrow to go to the pond to take bath, he stuck an arrow in the ground to lean his bow and sling against. Unfortunately, the arrow stuck into the ground had pierced a frog. Rama, on his return, found the wounded frog. He became terribly sad. He asked the frog why he did not give a call in warning as the arrow was about to pierce him. Then the frog is supposed to have said that whenever it was in danger, it used to call Rama for protection. But when Rama's arrow itself came to wound him, whose name was it to call for protection? Such is the greatness of God's arms, like the discus and the arrow, that makes the greatest egoistic to understand the futility of pride and valor and ultimately surrender to God. The mates, however, are not egoistic in that sense. Their egoism and surrender is of a different kind. It's the total negation of the self, which in Nammalva's words will be Neernumad Vermudal Maithu, to negate considerations of you and yours by their roots. Nammalvar will implore such negation as follows: Pattrilayai avan muttril adangu, with no attachment converge into him. In such a context, the inevitability of surrender is not because of irresistible might of God, but because of the realization of his essential divinity. This idea of negation of the self at the point of surrender to God is further reinforced if we take the prayer in the previous song into account. The mates had prayed for the fan and mirror in the previous song, Ukkamum Tattoliyum. The fan is identified with chasing away all kinds of attachments. The mirror is synonymous with jnana, wisdom. Thus, the prayer in the previous song was a prayer for a certain attitude, an attitude of the negation of the self through giving up all attachments and realization of the essential nature of the divine. Thus, the 21st song can be said to have philosophic implications that go far beyond the obvious in the Vaishnavite pantheon.